This morning we talked about how the premeditation theory doesn't make any sense. We talked about Ms. Arias's description of self-defense. We talked about how something could have happened in that moment in time. Now, your jury instructions do not limit you to one of those two outcomes. You're the finder of fact. You determine what happened. You have more options than merely first-degree murder. The difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder is that second-degree murder does not require premeditation by the defendant. We have a manslaughter, sudden quarrel or heat of passion resulting from adequate provocation from the victim. Adequate provocation means circumstances that deprive a reasonable person of self-control. And it does say words alone are not adequate provocation to justify reducing an intentional killing to manslaughter. There couldn't have been a cooling off period for which, in this case, Ms. Arias could have regained control. I would submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that you also have to consider the possibility, as you do in your manslaughter instruction, that at some point after this photograph, something happened. Something obviously happened, right? Maybe that's silly of me to say, but something happened. The question is what? What? The chances for premeditation have gone by the wayside, at least from the pictures we saw this morning. I would submit to you that, in fact, Jodi Arias did drop the camera. We have evidence of a picture of the ceiling. Did drop the camera. That Travis Alexander did berate her for dropping his camera, the camera he was going to take to Cancun. And while we're thinking of Cancun, we didn't hear it from the state yesterday, but this idea about Cancun and how jealous Jodi would be, right? They talked about, listen to the recording on May 10th, they talked about all these trips they were going to take, all these things. And she told you she knew someone else was going. This wasn't a matter of jealousy. Not on her part, anyway. But I would submit to you that she did drop the camera. That Travis Alexander did fly into a rage. The kind of rage and kind of anger you've seen in the text messages and in the recordings. That he did threaten her and make her feel as if her life was in jeopardy. Because remember, her perspective on this is that of a battered woman. But ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt about the fact. One of the things Alice LaViolette said was that sometimes when a battered woman is attacked and they're defending their life, they don't know when to stop. Travis Alexander's body was stabbed 27 times. It may be that Jodi Arias didn't know when to stop. It could also be, without any agenda, looking at it objectively, couldn't it also be that after everything they went through in that relationship, that she threw him down again, that she did grab for the gun to defend herself, that after that she simply snapped. She may not know it, but she may very well have snapped. Out of control, sudden heat of passion. We have been through so much, and look what happened now. This instance of violence went too far. She could have snapped. Snapping sudden heat of passion could account for much of what you see throughout the various pictures that were taken in Exhibit 249. The chaos, the blood everywhere, the shallow stab wounds, the slit to the throat, the running down the hall. All of it in some ways a sad, symbolic ending to a toxic relationship. All of it. It was a fight. But Jodi Arias might very well have lost control. She might very well have come in and succeeded or gave in to sudden quarrel and heat of passion after Travis Alexander threw her down. Enough was enough. And no doubt for a minute, those things are there. Those text messages, everything else. This chaos, this relationship, the fear, the love, the sex, the lies, and the dirty little secrets. And then throw her on the ground again. And go in a situation where she has to point a gun at him. And him diving towards her. Ladies and gentlemen, again, with no agenda behind it, not Miss Arias' voice, not the state's voice, is that the most logical explanation for what happened? You have to consider that, ladies and gentlemen. It's in your jury instructions, and that's one of the things that you decide. What happened? That ultimate question, we've seen those two pictures over and over again. What happened in that moment in time? A relationship of chaos that ended in chaos as well. There is nothing about what happened on June 4th in that bathroom that looks planned. Nothing. You bring a gun, and instead you stab. You have his back to you with a gun and a knife, and you don't do anything. If it was planned, wouldn't you? As we talked about this morning. This idea about something happening. Something did happen in this moment of time. And the point of this, I think, is what this evidence shows you, is that either what happened is that Jodi Arias defended herself and didn't know when to stop, or she gave in to a sudden heat of passion from a fight that began up in that bathroom. And that what she did under that sudden heat of passion. Demonstrative of that is this idea she doesn't remember any of it. So what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, is ultimately, if Miss Arias is guilty of any crime at all, it is the crime of manslaughter and nothing more.